Much for joining me today on TikTok Live. And as you log on, say hi so I can say hi back in the comments. Today, I thought we'd go over the importance of healing, especially when it comes to stopping drinking or moving towards a healthy balance. So if you have the inkling or knowing that drinking is getting in the way of your best life, when you take a step back or stop drinking for a period of time, you'll start to notice that things come to the surface, right? Some feelings, some beliefs, some emotions will come up that in the past you have used alcohol to suppress and numb. Hi guys, thank you for joining. So why it's so important to focus on your healing in order to stop drinking or to move towards a healthy balance is because there is some benefit that you're receiving right now from alcohol. So there are two reasons to drink. The first one is to move towards happy or good times. And this is when you associate drinking with the time in your life when you had fun socializing with family or friends. So that's the first one, to move towards positive emotions. And the second reason why we drink is to move away from negative emotions, to cope and numb with the parts of our life that we are dissatisfied with, to suppress heavy emotions, and ultimately to numb yourself in some way for one reason or another. So when drinking becomes an unhealthy habit, it's normally because of the second reason. You're drinking to move away from something or to numb something. So even if you stop drinking, it's so important to focus on your healing because drinking is providing some type of benefit for numbing and suppressing emotions. And if you stop drinking, but don't work on actually being in your body, giving space to your emotions and learning how to release them in a healthy and long-lasting way, you'll continue to go into other numbing behaviors. So for instance, I've talked to people who they've stopped drinking, but now they start to eat as a way to fill a void, or they lean into working too much to try to distract themselves. Essentially, they're finding other numbing behaviors, and numbing behaviors are very easy to find. There are a number of them. So that's what we don't want to happen. So when you stop drinking, it's important to say, okay, how can I actually focus on my healing? Because stopping drinking is only the first step. It's about what you do with stopping drinking, which creates a change that you want, right? This could be more success, more money to unlock your potential, to have better relationships, more intimacy. And all of these changes happen because of what you do after you stop drinking or move towards a healthy balance. So I want to talk about some of the ways that you can heal. And when I talk about healing, essentially that means creating space for your emotions and being able to release them. Because the truth is, we aren't taught how to do this. We're in a society where our emotions, it's almost considered weak to share emotions or to say when something doesn't feel good. And because of that, we adapt to the masculine paradigm, which tells us to shove down our emotions and pretend that they don't exist. So that leads to a lifetime of numbing and emotional stoicism, which is not healthy. So some of the methods I use with my clients is a few of them, but they're focused on body-based therapies. We'll start with one of my favorite ones is tapping. So tapping is a combination of cognitive psychology and acupressure. And this is when you tap on your body's energy meridian points. So it looks like this. I know this seems kind of silly when you look at it, but essentially what you are doing here, this tapping in these specific points in your body, this sends serotonin to your amygdala. So your amygdala is home to your fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. So it's the part of your brain that is designed to protect you. So if you become triggered, you won't be able to process emotions because it won't feel safe. And if you don't feel safe giving space to your emotions and processing them, you'll continue to suppress them and push them down. And that's not what we want to happen. So as you're tapping and the serotonin is going to your amygdala, it tells it to calm down. It signals that it is safe to give space to these emotions and also to release them. So when you're doing tapping, what you can do is to go back to specific situations or events in your past that have caused any type of negative or hard emotion. And you can go back and address that situation and to release the emotional connection from it. Now, you can never eradicate something that has happened in your past, but what you can do, and this is what's so powerful, is you can release the emotional attachment from that situation so it no longer triggers you as you move forward. And that's huge. And the second method I love to use is breath work. So let me know in the comments if you guys have used breath work before. This is using your breath in a way to move densities in your body. So when you're holding on to emotions, what happens is those create densities in your body. And through utilizing your breath, you can remove those densities and move towards more positive emotions and the way that you want to feel. So those are the two methods I use for healing. And this has been a big part of my journey in sobriety. Because once I stopped drinking, I realized, there's a lot there beneath the surface that was coming up. And I had to figure out how to deal with it, right? And this is why I leaned on my mentor. And what my mentor helped me with was taking the space to actually create space for your emotions and to release them and to move forward in a way that's beneficial for you. And that right there is how you create the change in your life that you desire when you stop drinking. It's becoming the person who can surf the waves of life and having this emotional intelligence. So no matter what happens externally, you know that you're the person who can overcome any challenge or anything that gets in your way and continue to move towards the life and relationships that you desire. And that right there is really inspiring and empowering. So for those of you who are just joining now, hello everyone. It's really important to, and I'll post this replay, it's so important when you decide to stop drinking or to move towards a healthy balance to focus on your healing so that you can create the changes in your life that you desire and not go from one numbing behavior to the other, but instead make these powerful changes so you can actually experience relationships and success that are truly possible for you when you become the best version of yourself who can surf the waves of life. All right, guys, thanks for joining. Hi, Sunny. I love the little sun in your, what do you call it, your username. All right, guys, so I always like to do like a little video and then I will come on for a question. That sure really makes your eyes pop. I know, doesn't it? Green is my favorite color. If you can't tell, like my walls and my shirt makes my eyes pop. So what we're talking about are emotions, or we talked about emotions and healing and how when you stop drinking, yes, stopping drinking is important. However, that's just the first step. It's about learning how to give space to your emotions, how to release them, and how to create this emotional intelligence so you can surf the waves of life. And this is important because no matter what happens externally, you become the person who can overcome any challenge or any trial that gets in your way and get back on the track to what you actually desire in your life. And that's what you want, right? You want to experience the happiness, the success, the relationships that you know are available for you. And when you can become the person who can create that in your life, that right there is what it is all about. And I know, guys, okay, so sorry, scrolling. Here we go. Hi guys. So something really important some questions here. Okay, I need at least 3 drinks to be social events. Needing drinks to be social. This is actually very normal. So if you feel like there is resistance to go out and not drink, or that you need to have drinks in order to socialize, my battery's dying. So if you feel like you have to have drinks in order to socialize or to be around others drinking, that is basically the fear of not belonging. If you feel like you need to do that in order to fit. Now, this is something that I struggled with at first. Every single one of us has the fear of rejection deeply ingrained within us. So back when we were cavemen and cave women, if we were rejected by the tribe, that would mean fear of social advancement opportunities, reproduction opportunities, and in the worst case, if there was a lion or some predator, once we got thrown out of the cave, that would mean death. So that fear of rejection is very real. And when I stopped drinking, I was a month into sobriety, and I went to a yoga event at a brewery. And afterwards we had free drinks, and I had a drink because I didn't tell any of them that I stopped drinking, because honestly, I didn't know if I was going to stick with it, but I have, and I'm so happy I did. But I realized I drank that day because I felt like I wouldn't belong if I didn't have a drink. And that right there, that realization is huge. So think about, is it Fleeps? Fleeps29, I think that's your username. What benefits are those drinks giving you? What are you receiving from drinking when you're in social events? Is it for anxiety? Is it to feel better about yourself? Is it to feel like you belong? That's what you have to figure out. Now, for most of us, it's hard to figure out the benefit we're receiving when we're too close to it. So when you're still drinking, it can be hard to figure out what benefit you're actually receiving when you're in those patterns. So you need to take a step back from that. So in order to take a step back, I would recommend going out, socializing, and not having a drink, and just see what comes up. See what beliefs come up. See what thoughts come up. And that's when you can do healing. And that's when you create shifts in your life. So you do not need alcohol in order to be social. And that's really important. And that's why this video, I went over the importance of healing. Because let's say, for example, you feel like you have to drink because you're subconscious, that you're not enough at a deeper level. That was a part of my story as well. I did healing around that, and I was able to go back to that part in my life when I didn't feel good enough. It's when I got held back in the 3rd grade, and that carried forward until just a few years ago before I stopped drinking. So I went back to that time and did healing around that and created shifts in my beliefs and how I show up. So now I know that I do not need to drink in order to feel worthy or find belonging. So that's what I would suggest, is take that time, do healing. This is what I do with my clients, because if we don't feel safe looking at our emotions, giving space for them, it's really hard to move forward in a way that's beneficial for us. And that's why I'd recommend working with someone who you feel comfortable with, and also someone who has been on the journey. So that's what I'd recommend doing to fix it. Okay, Jared, do you go to events? By events, do you mean socialize? Yes, I do. I love socializing. I've always been a very social person, and I gain my energy from others. So yeah, I play volleyball a lot. I go out listening to country music. We live in Nashville. I go out to dinner with my friends. I'm always socializing, and I even go to bars. And something that has changed though is I don't stay out like very late, because there is no benefit to that, right? There's nothing worse than waking up and feeling groggy. Even if you don't drink, but you go to bed at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., you wake up the next day not feeling so good. And the life I'm creating, I'm having so much fun actually doing things and filling my time with activities that I love, that me staying up till 1 or 2 a.m., it's not worth it. But yeah, I go out to bars, I have fun with my friends, and I'm around them when they're drinking, and I could care less, because I know for me, there's no benefit to drinking. And that right there feels really powerful. Okay, perfect. Whoa. Okay. Okay, hold on. How tall are you? 5'10". I'm pretty tall. I'm a volleyball player. You teach. Okay, hold on. Wow, these. Okay, here we go. My phone. Ah! Oh no! Okay, I'm scrolling and it's not working. I teach yoga. Awesome. I love yoga. Yoga's a great, I guess you call it exercise, practice to get into for anyone, but especially when you're trying to be more in your body, yoga's a great way to do that. Okay, so drinking makes you funny and confident. I'm gonna argue that's not actually the case. Have you ever woken up mornings after drinking and not knowing what you said or what has happened? So in those moments, were you more confident? The answer there is no. I know that happens so many times for me. I'd wake up the next morning with guilt, blame, or feeling shame for something I thought I said or had done, so I didn't feel more confident. But what alcohol does in the moment, it gives you the illusion of being more confident. But what it's actually doing is having you take more risks and feeling more confident taking risks that are normally not the best for you. Because when you're out drinking and normally it's late at night, the opportunities that present themselves at that time are normally not beneficial for yourself and your relationship. And they make me more funny. Okay, drinking, I used to think drinking made people more funny, but when you're sober and you're around people who think they're funny when they're drinking, they're really not. So it's really all about our perception of things, because if you think you're funnier when you're drinking, that's what you'll perceive to be true. But the truth is, you're funny because that's who you are. Drinking cannot change that. Drinking just amplifies some of the qualities that you have. However, you do not need drinking to be funny. If you are funny, if you truly lean into that and lean into who you are and your personality, you can be even funnier. And no hangover, so that's a plus. No idea what happens. Okay, if you're truly So Jared, I hear what you're saying. So he says, if you're a problem drinker and need to stop, do not go to drinking events. It's so important that whoever is going on the journey, that they are reflective of what's best for them. I know my first 3 months in sobriety, I was it was COVID, so it was kind of like the perfect storm. So there weren't many social events. In Nashville, the city really didn't close down. Maybe for a month it did, but I knew in the first 3 months, I had no desire to go to social events. They just didn't interest me. Social events that involved drinking. So what I did is I was reflective of what felt good. And after some time, I'm like, yeah, I want to go back to events. I want to go back to socializing. And the truth is, most events include drinking. And sometimes that just is not something we can avoid. And that's something I focus on in my practice with my clients, is helping them to focus on their healing. Because if you're feeling triggered to drink around alcohol when you're at a social event, that's because there's something that you need to address. And no matter how long you avoid social events or alcohol in general, until you do that healing, until you figure out what's being triggered, you'll always feel like you'll have to avoid it. And that's not a great way to live, right? And when you hear people talk about how sobriety creates a sense of lack or scarcity in their life, that's because people are avoiding parts of their life because they feel like they can't go to places where drinking is prevalent or present and feel comfortable or not triggered to drink. And that is true for some people. And yes, that's important to honor that. But for so many of us, alcohol is a habit that we use to cope and numb. And we don't know any other way to give space to our emotions. But once we learn how to heal and how to regulate our nervous system and how to release those triggers, then you can show up to events where there is drinking. You can have a good time and you're not triggered by drinking. That's what I've experienced. My clients experience this. It's really important to look at okay, what's being triggered and how can you create changes around that and healing around that. You can drink, but I have to. What happened? People just joined. Okay. There's a good movie to watch. Yeah, a lot of good movies. Steele said, I'm a guitarist and don't want to throw up on stage. That would not be good. So Eric, drinking is a social lubricant. It is, because for most of us, we have not tried to truly socialize without it. Think about that. Think about the last time you went to a bar or a gathering without drinking. Some of my clients, it's been 3 decades, right? And my clients are in their late 30s and their 40s. So for most of them, let's say 20 years, 2 decades, where they haven't gone to a social event when they're not drinking. That's a long time, right? So you're out of practice. So it doesn't mean that you can't be so social without drinking, but it means that you're just out of practice of doing it that way. And I know my first, it was around the holidays when I was sober and around a lot of alcohol and my family and friends. It was weird. I didn't know how to act. I didn't know what to make for a mocktail. I felt a little awkward, and that was okay because that was one of my first times going to an event sober in over a decade, right? So it takes time to be comfortable in social situations, but the more that you do it, the more comfortable that you get. And now I'm around people who are drinking, I could care less. And I am myself, and I know how to create conversations and get to know people. And I've actually found that I'm creating deeper relationships now that I don't drink, because I'm actually intentional about the conversations I am having. And I always focus on, this is my trick, I focus on one new thing I can learn about the people I'm with. This could even be my parents, my brother, my sister, my fiance. I just focus on truly getting to know them and building that relationship. And that for me takes off any pressure at all. And it honestly makes social gatherings more enjoyable. All right, guys. Thank you for joining. Oh, here we go. The comments take like a second to come in, then they all pop up. All right, perfect. We're getting to the end of them. I might have to stop. My phone is dying. I've been creating more content, as you'll see on my feed, and I've noticed my phone lasts maybe half of the day or something, which is kind of funny, but oh well. So thank you so much, you guys, for joining. I'm going to be logging off soon. This video, what I'm doing, because Instagram has a longer, or the capability to post longer videos, is I'm going to be placing my replays on my Instagram. So if we're not friends on Instagram, my handle is I am Nicole Prentice, or you can go to my link in my bio, find it there. And I hope to see you there as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye.